Hello. So, I'm finally back doing audiobook reviews, which honestly I couldn't be happier about. I'm really excited to get back into this. So, today I will be doing an audiobook review of The Memorabilia Man When They Tell You They're Not Gangsters, written by Charlie Wood, narrated by Mack. Now, you'll notice, if you've already checked out previous audiobook reviews, that this one's starting off a little differently. I didn't do a trailer for the book like I normally do with all the others, which I really enjoy making up little trailers for these books that I review. At least for, self published authors who could use a little bump in marketing. I actually enjoy it, and I hope that they enjoy seeing some kind of book trailer made for their book. And usually, when I do these book trailers, I read off of the Amazon page about the book is about, because it's usually a good paragraph long. But I can't really do that with this book, which is what makes this book interesting but confusing at the same time. So let's just jump right in. We're going to start with the cover. Now, if I was looking through the covers, first off, I've done videos on this in the past. I do not believe people really buy books based on covers anymore. They buy books based off of word of mouth. They buy books off of what other people tell them. And just looking at this cover, I think this cover definitely needed more. The text is a little plain. The background picture doesn't tell you a whole lot about the story that you're in for. In fact, I would take this, I would see this and think this is probably a nonfiction book about selling memorabilia, because that part where it says when they tell you they're not gangsters doesn't stand out. The Memorabilia Man does stand out. And it could be a biography about somebody who bought and sold memorabilia throughout their lives. The name of the author and the name of the narrator, they also don't stand out very well, at least not on the Amazon page. So, for the cover, I think I'm going to give it 2 stars. I thought a lot about this, and I feel the cover could have been improved upon and told more about what the reader or listener was in for. So, 2 stars for this. Moving on to the title, The Memorabilia Man, When They Tell You They're Not Gangsters. I don't even know what to say, because yes, this title, and it's even a little bit worked into the story, and it's not that it's forced into the story. It works naturally the way it's used, but I think this should have just been called The Memorabilia Man or something along that line. I I don't even know. That this was so confusing, which I'll fully explain when I get to the story section of this review. But the title just, it's a little too long for a self-concluding book, which I kind of feel that this is that this is a standalone book. Maybe he's got more, but I don't see a lot of this coming back around to certain characters. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But yeah, I think the title needs improvement. So I'm going to go. I mean, it's not horrible. It's not as bad as the cover. But it did need a little bit of work. So I'm going to say, since it doesn't quite land, I'm going to give it a 3. All right. Moving on to narration. Mack did the narration for this. I don't know if he did the editing too, but he did a really great job. He did a really good job. There were some times I felt like I could hear differences, like maybe he switched mics or tried something else a quarter of the way through and then tried switching back to something else. You know, I just felt like sometimes it sounded like sometimes it was a little deeper and clearer, and then it faded back to where it was. Or I just got used to it, maybe. You know, if there was a long break in his voice between chapters. But, I mean, he did a really good job. And I can definitely tell you, this probably took him a while. Again, something else I'll get into later on. But, yeah, he did a really good job with narrating this book. I mean, everything was crystal clear. There were a few little, like, scratchy sounds, almost like, I don't even know. It's like, you know, the minor stuff you might hear on a old CD where it's not scratched, but it's not playing super clear either. Like teeny tiny glitch moments. I don't know what was up with that. Maybe that was just problems with my Bluetooth speaker, you know, connecting to my phone. So I can't really say that that's definitely his fault. There was one time, though, I think he had a line and missed the mark of where he was editing, so the line repeated twice in a row. And that only happened one time. That's a very minor mistake. Blinking, you won't even notice it. I mean, or cover your ears for a second, you won't notice it. But all in all, Mack did really great as the narrator. So I'm going to give this 5 stars for the narration. Now moving on to characters. So the characters were great. They were very in depth. I really wanted to know what was going on with these people. I wanted to see. In fact, I'm a little upset because certain things did not happen or certain things were not resolved. And I spent a good portion of time hearing the lives of these characters, wanting to know what was going to happen. I'm warning you now, if you are going to listen to this, there will be spoilers from this point forward. So, if you want to go check this out, or jump to the end and see what my score is, my final score, do that now. But moving forward, the main character, or one of the main characters, because there's a lot of characters in this book. He's separated from his wife. You can tell like there's 2 other women that kind of flirt and want him. Like this girl Frankie, and this girl Gemma. They both seem at points in the story like they might be interested, even if they just slept with him. You know, they'd be happy with that. And I'm like, you know, God, would he sleep with somebody? Um, there's this old flame that comes around named Tracy. Turns out him and Tracy, they have a kid together that he never knew about. The book ends without resolving, does this man go back to his wife, or does he go and rekindle this old relationship with his ex-lover? Honestly, I was rooting for him to get back with his ex and to leave his wife. Even though they have a kid together, the wife seemed more like, she was going to be more of a pain in the future. And the ex really wanted him back. And she wasn't in the greatest relationship, so he would be saving her from that. And the wife could go off and start a new relationship. They could share custody of the child. I mean, I'm sure this happens in England a lot. I mean, it's not uncommon. The brother just kind of fades away from the story. We don't get any real resolve. I mean, unless a character dies, they just kind of fade out of the story, which I kind of felt like, eh. The whole point of this book, The Memorabilia Man, who is supposed to be this man named Taylor, he's not even in the last section of this book. And they hardly mention him. You get more involvement with his daughter, Gemma, at this point than with Taylor. And I'm just like, why do these characters now suddenly keep dropping out? And then I kept waiting for this story to come back around to Taylor. And it's like, well, it's not even about him anymore. It's about this other guy, Smith. But, that's just the thing. I was so invested in these characters. I wanted to know so much more about these characters. So for characters, I have to give the author another 5 stars because I really liked the characters and I wanted to know more about them. Moving on to the story. So, if you haven't been able to tell, the reason this book is so interesting is because this isn't like a book where you have a story with a beginning, middle, and end. This is like a soap opera. And I kid you not, there are 90 chapters in this audiobook. This is basically a soap opera. Honestly, I think the writer could just keep writing, more about what continues on after, and I'm sure he can figure out some way to bring some of these characters back around, create more drama. There's no epilogue. So, I mean, this didn't feel like a story or a movie where, you actually have a conclusive ending. Like I said in my character section, it just sort of drops off characters. They kind of fade out. And you are like, well, what happened to these people? What happened to this guy? Where did they go? What is going on? There isn't a real plot, I can tell you. I mean, I could start telling you, but then I would just be telling you about the book. And I think that was a little bit on the negative side. I think this would have worked with the title and everything. This would have worked if it had ended, and I hope the author's listening to this part. If you had split this book up into 2 books and had the first part end where Dave and Mike find the stash and they turn around to see Smith holding a gun on them. If that's where the book had ended, I think your title would have been perfect. I think the story would have been great. That was about halfway through the story. And you could have probably made more money by selling 2 books rather than just one. But I'm going to tell everybody here that listens to this that is not the writer. I think if you want a good, interesting, dramatic story filled with great characters for the price tag of this audiobook, this is definitely going to be worth your time and money. If you like just straight up drama, because there's not a lot of gunplay, there's not a lot of action. It's a lot of just people going about their daily lives who have this big interconnected web of people all connected by one thing that isn't even a relevant matter near the end of the story. I'll try to piece together some basic information and give you some idea of what the story is about, though. So, this guy named Mike used to be in a band back in the 80s. He's living on his brother's couch because he got kicked out of his house. Well, he goes to work on this house because his brother, who used to be in the band too, they are renovating this house. And when the brother goes to renovate, get the preparations underway, he witnesses somebody being beat up. And he thinks that the 2 guys spot him, so he takes off and they go chasing after him. And that's all I can really tell you, because if I keep going, I might as well just tell you the whole book, and I don't want to do that. But if you like this kind of story, where yes, this event leads to that event, leads to that event, leads to that event, then yes, you will enjoy this book. And it's a pretty long listen, so I mean, you're going to get your money's worth. On Amazon and Audible, the book is only $21.83 US currency. I don't know what it is in England, but yeah, I mean, this is pretty good for the price. It's not like, it's told out of order or anything. So, for story, I'm going to have to give this a 3. It is a good story, and it is a cohesive story. It's just, it goes on a little too long at some points, and it doesn't have a clear agenda of where it's trying to end up. I mean, this story honestly could have kept going. Like I said earlier, it's like a soap opera. But not all soap operas are bad. And this, has all the stuff that, if you are into action and drama, you're mainly drama, you're going to like this. So, for extras. Well, there aren't really a lot of extras. Like I said, the price is really good for the audiobook. That is a little bit of an issue. I think the author should put this out as a paperback. But just like with the audiobook, I think he'd be doing himself a great disservice if he puts this out as one full book. I think he should split it into 2. I think this audiobook should have been split into 2. Would have worked out better, and he could have a whole series going where, you actually know where this is trying to get to. I kept waiting for, to find out that the main guy who they're talking about, this Taylor guy who's running this company, I kept waiting for him to actually be like a mob boss. I wanted to see him actually turn out to have like his own like mafia connections. But that never happened. He didn't turn out to be a gangster, just a guy who wanted his stuff. So, overall, I would give this book, whew, I would have to give this an 8 out of 10. Like I said, it was very long, kind of, and it did feel long. I've read and I've listened to longer books, and this felt long because I wasn't sure where the story was going. That's probably the biggest negative. Not sure where the story was trying to go. It felt like a soap opera, which I don't mind. I've watched some soap operas in the past, but at the same time, what really kept me drawn in was all the characters. And I didn't mind listening to the narrator, so I stayed invested. So that the characters and the narration worked perfectly together to keep me into the story. So 8 out of 10 for this book. If you would like, please check out my book series, The Guardian of Light, also available on Amazon. I am trying to get it turned into an audiobook. I had some issues with the previous versions, and I was able to get it pulled off Audible. I think I have someone lined up willing to work on the entire series of my books, and as soon as he is ready, we will start getting the audiobooks out. If you are an author who, is looking to get some recognition, please, I love listening to audiobooks, and I will be honest and fair. So, if you have a promo code for Audible, or you want to send me the MP3, check the description below, see how you can do that. Coming up on September 23rd, I will be doing live streams all day. So come back next week and I'll probably have the times locked in. I want to thank you all for watching. If you have an interest, please go check out this audiobook. It was a really good time to listen to this, and it was quite interesting. Just keep an open mind. And if characters are what really draw you into a story, this is where the book shines the most, is the characters. So I want to ask you to please subscribe to this channel. Make sure to click the notification bell if you want to be notified the second a new video goes up. I want to thank you all for watching, and I will talk to you next time.